What's up guys, Eugene's here. Today we're back again, and in this video we're going to be playing some Eve in the jungle. So I actually do have the live recording for this match. I just forgot to record it for the first minute, so for the first minute it's just going to be the replay and then I'll switch to the actual live recording. But as I was saying, for this match I am going to be playing Eve, and Eve is still a very strong champ and definitely a nice little champ to learn if you want to hard carry teammates and get a bunch of 20 kill games. But to start off, just going to be doing the normal full clear, because with Eve, it's very hard to gank or to get anything done until you get level 5. You have to have a very good angle to actually get a kill pre-level 5. So I usually just do the full clear because that'll get me up to my level 5. And just take these camps over here, and then going to be starting up the red. And I'm just keeping an eye on my lane matchups right now, seeing what's going on, seeing if any flashes are getting burned or anything. And the biggest thing I see is in this top lane for sure. This Aurelia is already pretty low. And something to note whenever you're going against Aurelia players is lanes wherever Aurelia plays in, those are always super aggressive lanes. They're trade heavy, and there's usually a lot of damage on both champs. And the reason for that is just because Aurelia's kit is it's kind of catered to play aggro. Your first ability on Aurelia, your stun, pretty much all your abilities force you to go in, and to pretty much make use of Aurelia, you are going to have to play aggro. So that's why you see a lot of trades happening in Aurelia lanes. And you'll notice that for a lot of champs too. For specific champs, you'll see that they play pretty aggro. So for instance, Yasuo is another one that I sometimes see people playing pretty aggro. I actually messed that up. But certain champs just tend to play really aggro in lane. Wukong's another one that can play pretty aggro just because they have really good engage abilities. Whereas if you look on the other hand, somebody like Vayne, they could just stay back, poke. They don't actually have to play aggro to make use of their kit or anything. So right now I'm farming this up, and I know once I take this camp, I'm going to be at level 5. So then I could start looking for a gank. And the first thing that I see is this mid lane. They do have a Veigar, but notice something very key. I'm level 5, this Veigar is level 4. That's the thing, is if you do this clear on Eve, you're going to hit level 5 before almost anybody else on the map. So you can really utilize that. So now I see this Veigar step up. He flashes out. I follow in with that and able to pick up a kill over there. And you can see, even though Veigar still had flash, even though he still had everything up, he still can't get away from me because I have level 5 and I have flash. And now, on the other hand, if Veigar was level 5, he probably could have just ulted me and killed me there. So that's why paying attention to levels is so key. So now, the Gwen goes for... They just pop through mid. They're going back to their red side jungle, it seems like. Yep, they're over there. And, ooh, looks like they're actually going to start up their ults. So I'm going to try and save this Annie. They flash away. This Gwen's still chasing. And now we're trying to get this Gwen, but... pretty hard without ult or flash or anything up. I don't have the most damage yet. That's something about Eve, is once you use your ult in the early game, you actually don't have the most amount of damage. Something that a lot of people kind of fail to realize about Eve is Eve scales very well. As you start to gain items and stuff, that's when you start to do damage with Eve. At this stage in the game, when you don't even have a single item and you don't have your ult, you really don't deal the most amount of damage. But now, I see this Veigar. I know this Veigar has no flash, actually. So I try and get on whoever I can. I'm able to get the Lulu. Gotta watch out for the Veigar cage. Something you have to keep in mind whenever going against champs like Veigar or Kassadoran, or who else? What are other champs? Twisted Fate, is you have to be very cautious of those stuns and silences. Because if the enemy spots you and they're able to get a stun or silence on you before you get your engage, you're just going to be left in such a bad spot. And we're probably going to see that throughout this game. We might be able to see that once or twice, depending on how many mistakes I make in this one. We'll see, but it's still a good learning experience. And trust me, you learn very quick if you play enough Eve to watch out for those crowd control abilities, because if you get stunned in before you can get your combo, you're just gonna be left in a pretty bad spot. So now I'm just farming up. I have my ults back off cooldown. See this Wukong going back to lane. I know he doesn't have ults, but I got my ults back up. So now I'm keeping an eye on what's going on over here. I see the Aurelia is kind of backing up, so I'm just going to clear up my camps and then I'll look for a gank. Just going to keep on farming up. And I do have my first item. I did get my Rabidomes, so I do have some damage now, which is pretty good. But something that that you might notice on Eve is in the early game, your ult is actually used as a pretty good damage source. Like your ult is actually pretty big for dishing out damage. But as you get later into the game, actually your ult is used for more of an escape tool or for like a quick combo. It's not necessarily the damage. I mean, it can do damage, but your other abilities start to like ramp up in damage. So you can actually like deal damage with your first ability and your third ability. Like in the late game, your first and third ability alone can pretty much just one burst an enemy, even without your ult. But at this stage in the game, there's no way you could do that without your ult. So now we get a kill onto the Aurelia, and now I just trade Herald for Dragon. I let him have that. And honestly, Wukong should have taken the top turret. He kind of screwed up here by not just... He didn't really need to help me because they're all on the bot side of the map. Like, we needed to be able to get this turret instead, but... Now I'm trying to head up this way. I know this Aurelia is coming back to lane. See if I can get a good gank. And notice what I wait to do. I wait for the Aurelia to engage before I do my own engage. And we can see, once that Aurelia uses their first ability in, there's no getting out of that. And that's what I'm meaning about, like, to play Aurelia, you kind of have to play aggro to make use of her kit. And that can leave you in pretty vulnerable places like that. So we're able to get the first turret, and I actually don't even have to burn Herald, so still have that. And actually, my team was able to force him off the dragon, so that's actually really good because that's still up, so... I'm on my way right now, but I also have this Herald, so I'm also looking at this mid turret, and looks like they're going to get the dragon, but that's fine. We got first turret, we got a decent amount of kills, and now I can look to make use of this Herald. Definitely looking for this mid turret. It already has a little bit off of its HP, so just a Herald and a couple autos should be able to get that, but do have to watch out for this Veigar. I'm trying to see if he's going to step up, and... he flashes away. Good for him. We might have been able to burst him down completely, but as you can see, we're able to get that Herald charge, plus get an auto or two, and take the turret there. So now I'm just keeping an eye out on their duo lane. I see them over here, so I start to rotate over, seeing if I can collapse onto him. I see the Vayne over here, try and slow him down, but able to get the good combo on. And it's pretty hard to chase down a Vayne. I kind of had to burn my flash there once they pushed me back, but... able to pick up the Veigar. Ooh, maybe not, actually. No, not able to pick up the Veigar. I kind of want this Veigar, though. I'm trying to see where that little thing was following him to. They might have ran all the way underneath the turret. Yeah, looks like they ran all the way back, so... won't be able to chase that, but my team played really, really well during that first dragon. My dual lane, if you're a dual lane or mid lane, and you're watching this, or a support... my team did so well during that first dragon fight to not die. Because a lot of times, if the jungler goes for Herald, sometimes... your teammates, sometimes your duo lane, sometimes your mid lane, they'll still try and fight for the dragon, even if you aren't there. And that's a huge mistake that a lot of people make. And over here, I go in way too far. I really, really wanted that Gwen, but unfortunately I go down, but that's all right. A lot of times your teammates, they'll try and force that fight at the dragon. And that's a huge mistake, especially if you aren't there. And ooh, this Alistair's just getting run down. Yeah, that Vayne damage kind of nasty. Actually, I don't know why the Jinx is trying to run. They're 2 levels over the Vayne. They probably could have won that, honestly. Like, that one ability did so much damage to the Vayne. But, yeah, so as I was saying, my teammates did a really good job of getting one pick. I think they killed one person. And really, that's what you should do is, if your jungler isn't at the dragon and the enemy's trying to take it, if you use your ults, if you use your abilities, you can maybe pick off one kill or something and then just leave. And if they get the dragon, that's all right. Like, in that case, they got the dragon, but we're still up on gold. And that's really, really what's key. A lot of people don't realize it, but first dragon is, in my opinion, it's very, very overrated. I think playing for the gold is probably worth it more than actually the dragon buff itself. Just because I think if you go for that dragon fight and you lose it early on, it's not worth it. Like, the only reason why I would force that dragon fight is if I know that I have, like, an advantage, or if I know that, like, my champ is really good in the early game. And, like, for Eve, I know this mid game can sometimes be a bit hard if you don't get your items and stuff. See, this game I do have items, so I do have damage, but a lot of games you might not get fed kills and stuff, so you won't be dishing out as much damage, and it's going to be hard at those, like, mid-game dragon fights and stuff. And that's where a lot of Eve players throw, is trying to force those fights when they don't have, like, their ultimate up, when they don't have their flash up. Because you really, really need that for your mobility in the early game, and damage too. So I'm just going through the jungle, clearing it up. Trying to get this. But now, on the other hand, as I was saying, if you're playing like an early game champ that's pretty strong in the early game, like Evelynn or, I don't even know, Xin Zhao is pretty good, Wukong. Certain champs are very, very good at taking those team fights, like big AoE champs, bruisers. Early game assassins are pretty good. Those are good champs to like actually like force the Dragonfly for, and I wasn't even there when they started that up, but that's okay because picking up kills over here. I'm trying to wrap around. I have my ult up still, so I'm trying not to get revealed. I see this Vayne here. Trying to pick him up, see if I could chase him down. I just smite him down to slow him, and I see the Lulu over the wall. Able to get him, get to the charm onto the Veigar, and able to clean that up, thankfully. Or no, not able to. Oh yes, able to clean that up. But that was pretty good. Jinx got a reset or two. They got a couple assists, so they got the speed up, and overall looking pretty good. And now, notice what item I have available in the shop. And this is such a huge item. Infinity Orb is such a power spike on Eve. And right now, I think we're just messing with this, really. Yeah, I think I realized they all respawn now. It's definitely time to dip out. Yeah, I just run away. But Infinity Orb, that's such a key item on Aurelia. Or not on Aurelia, why did I say that? On Eve. And yeah, my teammates, I don't know about this one. Maybe get a kill or two and then run, but looks like I might go down. Oh, am I going to go down? One shot? Nope, thankfully I live. But that's a bit risky for sure. Infinity Orb is so good on Eve. Like, once you get that, that's when you could start one-bursting people. So now we'll be able to see, like, from here on out, I can start to pretty much one-burst, like, any of these squishies. Except for Gwen. Gwen's not really squishy. Gwen's a bit harder to kill, so probably not Gwen. Maybe not even Aurelia, because Aurelia is a bit tanky. But for sure, Veigar, Lulu, Vayne can definitely one-burst him. Let's see how much damage I do to this Gwen. Yeah, you can see I can pretty much chunk him down all the way. I should have just ulted. As I was saying, Gwen is a bit harder to kill. I wanted to save my ult, which is fine, but maybe I should have just ulted that to for sure kill him. Actually, no, probably good that I didn't ult now that the enemies are coming. So now, I'm trying to get the charm onto the Vayne. The Vayne knows where I am. Not able to get that off, but now trying to clean up this Aurelia. Able to get that, but ooh, looks like I might go down, unfortunately. That Vayne had really good positioning. I wasn't able to get a good engage onto him, and that's something that I do want to point out, is the reason why Vayne was able to avoid me so well was because they knew exactly where I was positioned. One of the biggest things on Eve is pretty much the element of surprise. If the enemy sees you coming, they're going to be ready for it, and they're going to know, they're going to position well, they're going to have their crowd control ready, and it's just going to make it so much harder. But on the other hand, if they don't know where you are at all, look, that Vayne wouldn't have been able to avoid me at all, and I just would have one-bursted them. So that's why, like, it's so key to pay attention to if the enemy sees you or not, and to actually, like, get the first jump. I think getting the first jump on Eve is so key. Like, if the enemy spots you before you get your engage on, it just makes it significantly harder and so much more likely that you're going to die. And now, I think I'd probably die a couple more times in this match, but we'll see. My guess is if I die, it's probably because they spotted me before I started my engage, and I got stunned up by, like, Vayne or knocked up by Lulu or Veigar. So now, I'm over here. They spot me out of here. I'm trying to get this engage over here. And, yeah, see what I mean? See exactly what I mean? That was a huge mistake. I wasn't able to get the engage I wanted. I should have just left and looked for another angle. And I didn't even get my ult off because, in that case, the Veigar ult will, like, chunk me down halfway. So, as you can see, they're such small things, but they could lead to such costly mistakes. Because if I didn't get spotted there, I probably would have gotten 1 or 2 kills, let's say. And then I wouldn't have died. But in this case, you die, and then your teammates essentially fall apart. So that's just something that I wanted to point out, because that's just so key to pay attention to, in my opinion. Something that you do need to learn over time with Eve. Like, it's hard to understand unless you actually play Eve, because, trust me, you'll learn the hard way like that. Like, that is a hard way of learning. Actually getting caught out a couple times. Accidentally going for a couple bad engages, and slowly you learn, hey, maybe I should do this, maybe I shouldn't do that, etc. So now I'm kind of looking for, I know I can one-burst any of the squishies, so I'm actually trying to look for a kill, because I'm trying to get this Baron buff off at, like, somebody, and we can see if I can get the element of surprise here, essentially. And over here, look at that, they have absolutely no time to react, and I'm able to take the Baron buff off of one person. So now, that just gives our team such good positioning, and now we're able to push these waves back, and that Baron buff is essentially useless for them now. So that's pretty huge. But now, we got 4 of us here. Wukong's still topside. I don't have ult, so I am not going to go in too far or anything, because without ult, that could sometimes be a bit risky. Especially in the late game, because a lot of these people can, like, burst me down very, very fast. Like, if I get stunned up by a Veigar cage, or if, like, Aurelia gets a good engage onto me, I'm almost for sure going to have to ult out to get away from him. Because it can be hard to, like, not instantly die as Eve if you make one small mistake. So actually, I get proto-built this game exactly for the element of surprise, because all this time I've been having to run up to the enemies and then use my third ability, first ability, etc. But now I could just proto-built and third ability. And I know with the proto-built and third ability, like, there's no way they're going to spot me before, because they're going to have, like, no time to react. So over here, like, you can see the reaction is just a bit faster. Like, they have less time to react. In that case, unfortunately, that one ward spotted me out, so was not able to get what I wanted, but still able to pick up some good kills. Got some good damage down, and now trying to chase down these last killers too. Yeah, this Vayne's just pushing the bot side, but my teammates are resetting, so I'm actually looking for this Lulu maybe. I think they know where I am. I think there's a warden there or something. I don't really know. They might have seen that. I think they just saw me walk in there actually. So I'm looking for this Lulu. I have my flash, so I could just charm flash if I need to. Let's see if I do that. I might just flash and, yeah, just flash third ability. We got some good poke onto him. And now I know Vayne's on their way back, probably. So, keeping an eye out. I have my Protobelt up in a couple seconds. Have my ult and everything, so honestly, I could probably go back and one burst somebody if I wanted to, but unfortunately, our Annie goes down. That's pretty bad timing to go down too, because with the dragon spawning, that's kind of want everybody up, kind of want to get the waves pushed in and everything, so now going back up, and yeah, I'm building anti-heal this match, and for runes, I'm running Electrocute, and Gathering Storm is huge. That helps you scale very, very well into late game, and your damage output becomes insane once you get some Gathering Storm stacks. And then I am running Nullifying Orb, just so I don't get bursted down as quickly, get a nice little barrier or something. And then for last item, Hunter Genius. So now I see them all grouping. We don't have Annie yet. We do have to be a bit careful, and I'm trying to watch out for like Veigar Cage or Aurelia stun, because I can't accidentally get hit by one of those. So now I'm waiting for the Alistar to engage. He's tanking everything. I'm kind of looking for a good angle. I get a great charm in there, and unfortunately, I'm not able to get my ult off in time. And I think that was kind of bad from our team for engaging. I tried to play pretty passive. Like, I tried to not... I didn't want to engage because we didn't even have Annie, but as you could see, I kind of got spotted out. Something hit me. I think it was the Gwen ult or something, but something in general, anything revealed me, and then they saw where I was, and that was a bit unfortunate. But thankfully, our Jinx pretty fed also, and they wasted a lot of stuff on me, so now they're able to clean this up, and it's looking pretty good. What do I get? Yeah, actually, in the late game, I actually just sell my last item and actually just get Guardian Angel, because in a case like that, I don't know if we're going to see it in this match or not, but like Guardian Angel is so clutch in late game team fights. Like, I think it's worth more than like an anti-heal in this match, just because in that case, for instance, I would have had my GA popped and my team could have covered for me. And then I could have just ulted out. Like, it's so clutch to have in these team fights. So that's kind of why I start to build into it. And I think I'm trying to farm up, trying to get to my GA if I can. Looks like they might actually just end here, honestly. I can't tell. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Nah, it looks like they're running away. So now I have enough for my GA. Actually, I gotta go and clear this top wave first. It's a pretty big wave. So now with this GA, I can go in pretty deep and not have to worry too much. Like, it essentially just gives you more room for error, because then you can make like a mistake and it'll just be your GA getting popped instead of you dying. And usually your teammates can cover for you, because usually like whenever you go in with Eve, you're going to deal a decent amount of damage no matter what. So they're going to already be pretty low. So even if they pop your GA, they're probably going to get scared off. Ooh, that's a good engage by Annie, actually. That's a really good Protobelt. Now, I'm on the way back. I don't know if they can... Or they should be able to. It's just the Vayne, but... I'm here. I could probably just one burst the Vayne, honestly. I have Flash plus Protobelt. Yeah. Able to push him down a bit, and we're able to get the end there. Unfortunately, it wasn't a longer match, but Hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, comment down below, and up next, probably gonna be a Rengar video, but I'll see y'all in the next